Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a world of shadows, vigilantism, and some really unexpected holiday chaos. We're talking about a game that, while it often gets overshadowed by its siblings, it holds a really crucial piece of the Batman legend, Batman, Arkham Origins.
Yeah, what's particularly compelling about today's Deep Dive is how it centers on a pivotal, often overlooked moment in Batman's career. We're specifically honing in on his transformative second year as a crime fighter, that early raw stage. Our sources for today offer a pretty comprehensive look at the game's development journey, its intricate plot, the evolution of its gameplay mechanics, and of course, how it was ultimately received by players and critics alike.
Right. So our mission for you, the listener, is to go beyond just the surface facts. We want to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight from all this material, kind of like the Blinkist level takeaways that truly inform and hopefully surprise you. We'll uncover some unexpected facts, we'll dissect the critical reception, and really try to understand what Origins means for the broader Arkham universe, and maybe more profoundly, for Batman's own character arc. Okay, with our mission clear, let's dive right into the heart of it. The Bat's humble beginning. Introducing Arkham Origins. So to really get Origins, we first need to establish its identity, not just what it is, but its crucial place in the whole Arkham legacy. Released back in late 2013 across all the major platforms at the time, PlayStation 3, Wii U, Windows, and Xbox 360, this action-adventure game landed as the third main installment in the beloved Batman Arkham series.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes it stand out right away, though, is its notable inclusion of a multiplayer mode. That was a first for the franchise alongside its foundational single-player experience.
Yeah, that was definitely a departure.
It was developed by WB Games Montreal. They stepped into some pretty big shoes, didn't they? Taking the reins from series creators Rocksteady Studios.
They did. Rocksteady was busy.
And it was published by Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment.
Now, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Arkham Origins really carved out a unique space by being set a significant 8 years before the events of 2009's iconic Batman, Arkham Asylum.
8 years, wow.
Yeah, and this wasn't just like a random chronological detail. It was a deliberate and I think fascinating creative choice. It allowed the developers to explore a distinctly younger, less refined Batman.
Right, not the polished veteran we saw later.
Exactly. Think about it. Previous games featured this fully formed Caped Crusader, a master of his craft, right? But Origins had the unique opportunity to emphasize aspects like his raw vulnerability, his visible lack of experience, the less polished edge he still had. Those are elements that simply couldn't be explored with the established, seasoned Dark Knight of the later games.
Makes sense.
And the core narrative kicks off immediately with this incredibly high-stakes scenario. A massive $50 million bounty placed on Batman by the notorious crime lord Black Mask.
$50 million.
$50 million. This bounty, announced on Christmas Eve of all times, is designed to be a magnet, drawing 8 of the world's greatest, deadliest assassins to Gotham City.
Just what you want for Christmas.
Right. And to amplify Batman's isolation, he isn't just being hunted by supervillains. He's also relentlessly pursued by the Gotham City Police Department, the GCPD, who at this early stage consider him nothing more than an outlaw.
So everyone's after him.
Pretty much. This hostile environment further emphasizes the Dark Knight aspect of his nascent journey, forcing him to be a truly solitary figure. Gotham's gritty Christmas, the core narrative and characters.
All right, so the story kicks off with an absolute bang set against this incongruous backdrop of Christmas Eve. Batman is forced to intervene in this massive jailbreak at Blackgate Penitentiary, and this breakout is spearheaded by the ruthless Black Mask himself, who wastes no time in executing Police Commissioner Loeb before making his own escape. It's a pretty chilling introduction to the game's stakes.
Yeah, sets the tone immediately. Brutal.
Batman is left to battle the formidable Killer Croc, who's presented as a physically imposing and rather primitive early foe here.
Right, a bit different from later appearances.
It's during this brutal confrontation that Batman learns about the chilling $50 million bounty on his head. So like you said, it's not just one major villain, but 8 of the deadliest assassins from around the world all converging on Gotham, all after him.
Talk about pressure for a guy in his second year on the job.
Seriously. His initial pursuit of information leads him to Penguin's ship, the final offer. And this place is, well, it's an unsettling floating den of ice, complete with a casino and a brutal fighting pit.
Penguin's always classy.
Always. On board, he has some intense encounters. First, confronting the skilled mercenary Deathstroke, then the electrically charged Electrocutioner.
That Deathstroke fight is memorable.
Oh, yeah. And from Penguin, Batman gains a crucial, though ultimately misleading, piece of information. Black Mask was supposedly murdered at an apartment complex.
Supposedly.
Right. This sends Batman down a path that quickly unravels into something far more intricate than just a simple murder mystery.
Which naturally leads us to ask, if Black Mask was supposedly murdered, then who is the true mastermind behind all this chaos? Because someone is pulling the strings.
Exactly.
Batman's investigation of that murder scene quickly reveals a previously unknown criminal presence. A figure known only as Joker was involved.
The first mention.
The narrative then takes this dramatic, pivotal turn. Batman, needing more information, is forced to break into the Gotham City Police Department's criminal database.
Which is risky given they're hunting him too.
Very risky. It's there, through his advanced detective skills, that he deduces Black Mask wasn't murdered, but actually kidnapped by Joker. Joker intended to gain access to the Gotham Merchants Bank for his own, insidious plan.
Okay, so Joker's involved deeper than first thought.
Way deeper. The true, chilling reveal happens at the bank itself, when Black Mask dramatically removes his disguise to reveal himself as the Joker.
Ah, the classic switcheroo.
Exactly. And he then casually reveals that he had assumed Black Mask's identity several days prior, seizing control of his entire criminal empire, and, most significantly, imposing the bounty on Batman himself.
Wow. So Joker orchestrated the whole thing, the bounty, everything.
Everything. This pivotal moment completely redefines the entire plot, shifting the central antagonist from the seemingly powerful Black Mask to Joker, and showcasing his manipulative genius from an incredibly early stage in their intertwined history. It's really the origin of their complex, almost symbiotic rivalry.
That makes so much sense in the context of the later games.
Right. The confrontation continues as Batman chases Joker to the Sionis steel mill, where he finally frees the real Black Mask and defeats the poisonous contortionist, Copperhead.
The chaos just keeps escalating from there, doesn't it? Batman tracks the Joker to the Gotham Royal Hotel, and what he finds is truly disturbing. The villain has rigged the entire hotel with explosives, brutally murdered the staff, and taken guests hostage. Classic Joker.
Textbook.
Joker, in this chilling display of his new authority and, frankly, utter disregard for life, publicly berates the assassins for their failure to kill Batman. He then, quite dramatically, throws Electrocutioner out a window to his death.
Ouch. Poor Electrocutioner.
Yeah, a grim moment that, ironically, allows Batman to recover Electrocutioner's electric gloves, a new and very useful gadget for his arsenal.
Always find the silver lining, or the electric gloves, I guess.
Huh. The other assassins, quite understandably, scatter to search for Batman, except for Bane. Bane, ever the strategist, anticipates Batman will come directly for the Joker.
Bane's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Exactly. The confrontation culminates in this brutal battle with Bane on the roof. And Alfred, out of deep, almost paternal concern for Batman's life, takes the drastic step of alerting the police, hoping they will intervene and save Bruce.
That's a big step for Alfred going against Bruce's methods.
It really shows his desperation. But the true genius of this twist is what happens next. As Bane escapes by helicopter, he fires a rocket at the Joker, sending him plummeting from the hotel roof.
Okay.
And Batman, to Joker's utter confusion, surprisingly rescues him, saves his life.
Wow. Why would he do that?
Joker asks the same thing. This pivotal moment truly sets the stage for their incredibly complex, intertwined, and often symbiotic future relationship. It's foundational.
It really is. That defines so much of what comes later.
Joker is subsequently arrested and imprisoned in Blackgate, where, in a truly iconic scene, he first encounters Dr. Harleen Quinzel.
Hello, Harley.
Yep, setting up a critical future dynamic for their relationship and the eventual emergence of Harley Swinn.
Back in the Batcave, Alfred expresses immense, palpable concern for Batman's safety. He actually begs him to abandon his vigilante crusade, fearing he will be killed. You really feel for Alfred here. You do. This scene powerfully highlights Batman's internal struggle, his deep-seated obsession with justice, and Alfred's crucial role as this overprotective, almost parental figure, constantly trying to ground Bruce and appeal to his humanity.
And then the stakes get even higher, right?
Immediately. The personal stakes are heightened when Batman learns that Bane, through his formidable intellect, has deduced his true identity as Bruce Wayne.
Oh boy. That adds an unprecedented layer of vulnerability to Batman's dual life.
Absolutely. This isn't just a battle anymore. That's a test of Bruce's very foundations.
And the city's chaos continues. The pyromaniac Firefly attacks the Pioneers Bridge, forcing Batman and Captain James Gordon, who, remember, previously harbored significant distrust for the vigilante, to work together.
Ah, the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Sort of.
Sort of. This moment marks the genesis of their crucial, enduring alliance, a cornerstone of the Batman lore that we see fully realized in later games.
But the threat comes even closer to home when Bane breaks into the Batcave and attacks Alfred, nearly killing him.
No, not Alfred.
Batman finds his surrogate father dying, but he's able to revive Alfred using Electrocutioner's gloves, a clever narrative integration of a new gadget into a moment of extreme personal peril.
Wow. Okay, so the gloves weren't just a random pickup.
Nope. And this near-death experience forces Alfred to a profound realization. He admits that Gotham needs Batman to stop men like Bane, thus cementing his reluctant support for Bruce's crusade. It's a key step in Alfred fully embracing Bruce's mission, despite the inherent dangers.
That's a powerful moment for their relationship.
It is.
So the chaos within Blackgate continues to escalate as Joker manages to take over the prison, inciting a full-blown riot. This dire situation forces Batman to work alongside Gordon and the GCPD in a desperate bid to retake the prison.
A major turning point for their burgeoning relationship, working together officially almost.
Huh? Almost. Inside, Joker, ever the showman, presents Batman with a chilling choice: kill Bane, or allow Bane's heartbeat to charge a device that will activate an electric chair, killing the Joker.
Classic Joker moral dilemma, designed to break Batman's code.
Exactly. But Batman, using his ingenuity and those electric gloves again, finds a third way. He uses them to temporarily stop Bane's heart.
Clever. Fulfills the condition without killing him.
Right. Satisfied that Bane is dead, the Joker leaves, gleefully intending to detonate bombs he's placed around the city.
Of course he does.
Of course. Batman quickly revives Bane, who then, in a last desperate act, injects himself with the TN1 steroid, transforming into this hulking, monstrous beast.
Here comes Super Bane.
Yep. Batman defeats him, and as a side effect of the TN1, Bane suffers amnesia, conveniently preserving Batman's secret identity.
A bit of narrative luck there for our hero.
A little bit, yeah. With Gordon's help, Batman finally locates and subdues the Joker in the prison chapel, ending his Christmas Eve rampage. And in a critical step towards solidifying their mutual trust, Gordon chooses not to pursue Batman, believing now that the vigilante can genuinely help the city. This truly marks the beginning of their long and complicated, but ultimately essential, partnership.
Yeah, Gordon finally sees the value, the necessity of Batman. Now, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Arkham Origins meticulously lays the groundwork for the future of the Arkham universe. The credits sequence, for instance, includes a radio interview with Quincy Sharp.
Ah, Warden Sharp later on.
Exactly. He, in response to the massive Blackgate prison breaks, is lobbying to reopen Arkham Asylum, directly foreshadowing its central and, well, terrifying role in future Arkham games.
It's not just an Easter egg, then. It's a direct narrative thread.
Absolutely. But the post-credits scene is particularly significant. We see Amanda Waller recruiting Deathstroke into the Suicide Squad.
Okay, Waller steps in.
Yep. This is a direct setup for events seen in Batman. Assault on Arkham, that animated sequel released in 2014, which directly ties Origins into the broader DC animated universe. It clearly shows a cohesive, planned narrative across different media, making Origins a real linchpin.
That's pretty cool how they connected those dots.
And looking even further into the future, the continued relevance of this period is underscored by Batman, Arkham Shadow. That's the direct sequel to Origins, announced in May 2024 for the MetaQuest 3, set to release in October 2024.
A VR sequel to Origins. Interesting.
Right. This game takes place just 6 months after Origins events, and, according to its director, Ryan Payton, it explicitly explores Batman's crucial transition from a violent and vengeful vigilante into a symbol of hope.
So it directly builds on Origins' themes.
Directly. This emphasizes Origins' lasting impact on Batman's character development, showcasing its fundamental role in shaping the Caped Crusader we come to know in the later games. It's not just a standalone prequel. It's an essential bridge in Bruce Wayne's transformation. 3. The Rogues Gallery. Character insights and design choices.
Okay, with the stage set and the stakes clear, let's turn our attention to the figures who populate this gritty Gotham the Rogues Gallery, and indeed, some unlikely allies making their own early marks. Arkham Origins really leans into featuring a large ensemble from the vast history of Batman comics, many presented in their earlier, less defined forms. A really notable and widely discussed change was the casting of Roger Craig Smith as Batman and Troy Baker as the Joker. They stepped into the roles previously defined by the longtime beloved voice actors Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill.
Huge shoes to fill.
Absolutely. The developers made this choice specifically to reflect the characters' younger, less refined versions. This was a significant development decision aimed at conveying Batman's early, more uncertain career and the Joker's nascent, still forming psychosis.
So it wasn't just about different voices. It was about embodying an earlier stage of their iconic dynamic, showing them before they became fully realized legends.
Exactly. And of course, providing a crucial grounding presence as Batman's butler and confidant, Martin Jarvis voices Alfred Pennyworth, that anchor in the chaos.
And what's truly insightful here is the strategic choice of Black Mask, voiced by Brian Bloom, as the initial primary antagonist.
Right, before the Joker reveal.
Before the reveal. He's presented as the most powerful man in Gotham's criminal underworld, ruthlessly working to consolidate his power. His public identity as Roman Sionis, the head of Janus Cosmetics, adds this layer of sophisticated, almost legitimate cover to his brutal criminal operations.
The respectable businessman facade.
Exactly. Creative director Eric Holmes noted that Black Mask's, quote, practicality made him an appropriate bridge antagonist for Batman's early career. He represents that transition from the typical common criminals Batman usually fought to the more neurotic, quirky, and superpowered villains he would confront later.
It's a smart way to escalate the threat gradually.
Very. And the game's central design choice revolved around the 8 assassins, each specifically picked for how their unique abilities would challenge the game's existing mechanics, forcing players to adapt and learn new strategies.
Let's break those down a bit.
Okay, so you have Bane, voiced by J.B. Blank. He's physically imposing, sure, but in Origins, he's notably more intellectually refined than his later, more brutish portrayals.
More calculating here.
Much more. Then there's Deathstroke, voiced by Mark Rolston, an expert marksman and veteran mercenary whose fighting style specifically focused on counterattack mechanics, making for a challenging and strategic boss battle that really tested player reflexes.
The fight was tough but fair, I thought.
Agreed. Copperhead, voiced by Rosa Salazar, is a poisonous contortionist, and this character is particularly interesting. She was notably made female for the game, with direct input from DC Comics writer Jeff Johns.
A big change from the comics at the time.
Huge departure from the male comic counterpart. And this version was so compelling that she was later even added to DC Comics' The New 52 continuity, which is a real testament to the game's impact.
Wow, the game influenced the comics.
It did. Animating her required 3 motion capture actors, a stunt woman, a Cirque du Soleil performer, and a martial artist, just highlighting the dedication to her unique, fluid movement.
That's commitment.
Then you have Firefly, voiced by Crispin Freeman, the pyromaniac, bringing fire-based environmental challenges. Electrocutioner, voiced by Steve Blum, has that brief but impactful appearance, leading to Batman getting the electric gloves.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Killer Croc, voiced by Kyrie Payton, is presented as a more primitive, brute force early foe. Shiva, voiced by Kelly Hu, is a master martial artist designed to rigorously test Batman's hand-to-hand combat skills.
Another tough fight.
And Deadshot, the expert marksman, naturally challenges Batman's stealth and evasion capabilities, forcing players to think strategically about silent takedowns. So each one tested a different aspect of Batman's skills. Precisely.
Yeah.
The developers intentionally designed these boss fights to be dynamic and multi-phase, often having their own mini-narratives and, crucially, requiring players to master the game's various mechanics, much like that acclaimed Mr. Freeze fight in Arkham City. This was considered a real high point for the game.
Beyond the main rogues and assassins, Origins also gives us a crucial glimpse into the early days of Batman's relationships with the GCPD and other familiar faces. In Origins, like we said, Batman is largely considered an outlaw by the GCPD, which is portrayed as being largely corrupt. You've got figures like Commissioner Gillian B. Loeb and SWAT team leader Howard Brandon leading the hunt for him. Really emphasizes his early isolation.
Makes his job much harder.
Definitely. However, Captain James Gordon, voiced by Michael Goke, stands out as one of the few incorruptible members of the Force, and his gradual shift from distrust to alliance with Batman is a key narrative arc. It shows the seeds of their legendary partnership.
You see him slowly coming around.
Yeah. And his teenage daughter, Barbara Gordon, also plays a role, though she is not yet Oracle, another detail highlighting the prequel setting.
Right before her transformation.
Other significant villains encountered include Penguin, voiced by Nolan North, portrayed here as a black market weapons dealer with his formidable ship, the Final Offer. That ship is practically a character itself.
A really unique villain stronghold.
We also see the mind-controlling Mad Hatter, voiced by Peter MacNicol, and an Anarchy, voiced by Matthew Mercer. He's an anti-government, anti-corporate anarchist who even attempts to form an unlikely alliance with Batman.
An interesting philosophical foil for early Batman.
Right. Anarchy's appearance was updated for the game to resemble a street protester with a gang resembling a social movement. Eric Holmes considered Anarchy multidimensional and the most timely of the villains, reflecting contemporary protest movements. His design drew upon original Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle appearances too.
Shows careful attention to comic book history there.
Definitely. Furthermore, Enigma, voiced by Wally Wingert, appears as a rogue hacker, orchestrating collectible challenges similar to the Riddler's in later games, but before he fully assumes his iconic Riddler identity.
The Riddler's origin story, essentially.
Basically, even Robin, voiced by Josh Keaton, is a playable character outside the main story, hinting at future partnerships. And for the keen-eyed, there are cameos from figures like Alberto Falcone, reporter Vicky Vale, Amanda Waller, Quincy Sharp, and the enigmatic Calendar Man.
It's a rich tapestry of characters, many just beginning their legendary roles in Gotham. It's a brilliant way to build out the universe and reward attentive fans. 4. Gotham's Winter Wonderland. The world of Arkham Origins. Now, that decision to set the game in midwinter Gotham City, specifically on Christmas Eve, provides such a stark and compelling juxtaposition.
Yeah, the holiday setting is really distinct.
Think about it. You have this joyful time of the year, traditionally associated with warmth and festivities, set against the grim, gothic, and increasingly dangerous world of Gotham. This is visually reinforced with elements like, decorative Santas appearing incongruously near Gothic gargoyles and Christmas lights strung up in dark, grimy alleys.
It really stands out visually.
It does. And this raises an important question. How does a setting so directly influence the narrative and atmosphere of a game? Here, it profoundly amplifies the bleakness and isolation of Batman's early fight. It makes his solitary crusade feel even more stark and desperate against that festive backdrop.
Adds to the whole alone against the world vibe.
Exactly. The city design itself is described as dislodged from time and space, which was a very deliberate artistic choice. It intentionally blends 1930s-era buildings, evoking that classic Neurish Gotham, with Batman's advanced futuristic technology. It gives the entire city a unique, timeless feel rather than being strictly period-specific.
So not quite modern, not quite retro.
Precisely. The art direction aimed for high contrast between darks and lights, with exaggerated shadows and very few balancing colors, creating a distinct film noir-style appearance. This reinforces that early, mysterious image of Batman as more of an urban legend than a known public figure.
Okay, so this vast Gotham City in Origins is essentially split into two main sections, right?
That's right.
First, you have Old Gotham. This is the area that, in the future, will become the walled-off Arkham City prison from the previous game.
You can already see the foundations of it.
Yeah. In Origins, it features more humble areas like slums, low-rise buildings, a shopping mall, and importantly, the docks, where Penguin's massive ship, the Final Offer, is moored. And this isn't just any ship. It's a floating fortress complete with its own casino, a brutal fighting pit, even a sales floor for weapons. It's a truly unique, unsettling, villainous stronghold and a fantastic set piece.
Definitely memorable.
Across the bridge from Old Gotham lies New Gotham. This is a stark contrast, a modern metropolitan area filled with towering skyscrapers.
More verticality there.
Exactly. This area was specifically designed for vertical movement, allowing for dynamic enemy placement both above and below Batman. It creates areas that are incredibly dense with activity and verticality for combat and stealth encounters.
Which fits Batman's style perfectly.
It does. However, while the sheer vastness offered many activities and points of interest, some critics felt the scale was maybe bigger just for the sake of being bigger.
Ah, the classic open-world criticism.
Right. Leading to increased commute times across the map without necessarily enhancing enjoyment or adding meaningful new experiences. Imagine being Batman, needing to save Gotham, but first, you're just gliding for a while.
Yeah, that travel time can break the immersion sometimes.
It was visually impressive, no doubt, but for some, the travel could feel a bit tedious.
And what's truly fascinating here is how the art direction directly reinforces Batman's early career status, particularly through his suit.
Oh yeah, the suit looks different, rougher.
Exactly. Designers deliberately aimed for his outfit to look assembled versus manufactured, suggesting it wasn't a sleek, mass-produced suit from a factory, but rather something he pieced together himself.
Like it was made from parts he could find.
Right. This implied it was made from various sources, including his own inventions and components maybe scavenged from Wayne facilities. It gives it a raw, utilitarian, almost makeshift feel that speaks to his fledgling status.
I like that detail.
Me too. And it emphasized the mystery and fear Batman instilled at this early stage. Art director Jeremy Price and the design team used silhouettes and that film noir-style low-key lighting we mentioned. It made the character appear more imposing and enigmatic, a shadowy figure of urban legend rather than a known quantity.
He wasn't Batman quite yet to everyone.
Exactly. In fact, the name Batman itself is used sparingly in the game, reflecting the public's uncertainty and lack of understanding about him, whether he's a true vigilante, a myth, or some sort of supernatural being.
Did they ever consider showing him making mistakes because he was inexperienced?
They did. Initial ideas to show Batman making physical mistakes like tripping or missing with batarangs were ultimately discarded.
Why?
The developers realized that maintaining the player's sense of empowerment was crucial for gameplay. You still needed to feel like Batman, even a younger one.
Makes sense. You don't want to feel clumsy.
Right. Instead, his inexperience was conveyed as personality-based. His journey to learn how to be the city's true protector and to overcome his deep, almost singular obsession with vengeance. The designers consciously prioritized gameplay over strict narrative consistency, ensuring features players enjoyed in prior games remained available to maintain that beloved sense of empowerment and capability, even if it meant a slight suspension of disbelief for an earlier Batman having some advanced gear. The Bat's arsenal and detective skills. Gameplay deep dive.
Let's talk gadgets, because Batman wouldn't be Batman without them, right?
Absolutely essential.
Arkham Origins thoughtfully included many fan-favorite gadgets from previous Arkham games right from the start. We're talking tools for hacking, traversal, demolition, tactical evasion.
The greatest hits were there.
They were, and this was a conscious design choice to ensure players felt empowered from the get-go, even if, like you said, it meant a slight narrative inconsistency regarding Batman's earlier tech. They wanted you to feel like Batman, even a younger one, from the moment you picked up the controller.
Gameplay trumped strict lore there.
Seems like it. But it also introduced brand new equipment, which is really exciting. A key new addition was the remote claw.
Oh yeah, the remote claw was fun.
This ingenious gadget allows Batman to target two objects or even enemies and pull them together. You can use it to throw enemies into each other for instant knockouts, or to create a tightrope between two walled points for vertical traversal. Very versatile.
Added some new tactical options for sure.
Then there are the shock gloves, which Batman acquires from a poor electrocutioner. These gloves are game changers. They enable Batman to block electric attacks, disable certain enemy types, stun shielded opponents, and even short-circuit objects in the environment.
They felt pretty powerful. Maybe too powerful.
We'll get to that. And for crowd control, the concussion detonator is a new device capable of stunning large groups of enemies, offering great tactical options in big brawls.
Useful when you're outnumbered, which is often.
And traversal across the expanded Gotham also saw an upgrade with a new fast travel system. While the Batwing itself isn't player-controlled, Batman can remotely summon it to quickly transport him to other areas once enemy tower installations, which block its use, are disabled.
A practical addition for navigating that larger open world efficiently. Helped with the travel time issue. Now, the game featured an enhanced version of the series' acclaimed free-flow combat system, that signature blend of fluid, chained attacks, counters, and gadget integration that truly makes you feel like Batman.
It's so satisfying when you get into a rhythm.
It really is. This version introduced a tracking system that assessed player efficiency and highlighted battle achievements, like avoiding damage or using specific gadgets. Successfully chaining attacks was rewarded with experience points, which could then be spent in a branching upgrade system.
So you could customize your Batman.
Exactly. This allowed for significant player customization, letting you enhance Batman's abilities and gadgets, choosing between a more specialized or generalized playstyle.
And they added new enemies to challenge that system.
Right. They did, to keep combat fresh and challenging. New enemy types were introduced. The martial artist, capable of blocking, evading, and countering Batman's attacks, demanding more precise timing from the player.
Those guys were annoying.
Yeah. The armored enforcer, who was invulnerable until dazed and de-armored, forcing tactical re-engagement. And venom-infused henchmen, who possessed superhuman strength and attacks that could not be countered, requiring players to truly master their dodges.
forced you to change up your tactics.
Right, but this naturally leads us to ask an important question about game balance. Some critics, like you hinted, found the newly introduced shock gloves to be somewhat overpowered.
Yeah, I remember feeling that way sometimes.
They argued that they allowed Batman unblockable attacks that instantly disabled most opponents, potentially removing the need for tactical thinking in fights and simplifying combat too much. Just mash the shock glove.
Oh, because the strategy out of it a bit.
Others felt that the changes to combat, particularly with greater enemy numbers and variety, punished players more than they challenged them, making it difficult to sustain attack chains and leading to longer, more repetitive encounters.
So a mixed reaction to the combat changes.
A bit mixed, yeah. On the stealth front, sections were generally considered to be of similar quality to previous installments, while this consistency was appreciated by many.
If it ain't broke.
Exactly. But their largely unchanged function meant that methods for obtaining victory remained the same, making for a somewhat rote experience for some players who were looking for more innovation in the stealth gameplay.
Felt a bit too familiar.
For some, yeah. And the remote claw, while innovative in concept, was sometimes criticized for making stealth sections too easy. It allowed players to disable multiple enemies without even moving from their starting position, which could trivialize some encounters for veteran players.
Took the challenge out.
Potentially, yeah. Made things a bit too convenient sometimes.
Now, one area where Origins really seemed to lean in was Batman's detective skills, right? Bringing them more directly into the gameplay with dedicated crime scene investigations.
Yes, that was a big focus.
Players can scan a scene with detective vision, but it wasn't just highlighting clues. It actually displayed holograms, acting out theoretical scenarios of the crime, allowing Batman to piece together events visually.
Like a virtual reconstruction.
Exactly. You could then virtually rewind and fast forward through these discovered elements to uncover new clues, almost like using a digital evidence board. It made you feel like a true master detective.
That was a cool feature.
Beyond the immediate scene, Batman could link to the Batcomputer in the Batcave, which served as this powerful analytical hub. Here, players could view virtual recreations of crime scenes from different angles, with the crucial ability to move back and forth through the crime's timeline, view it in slow motion, or pause to look for minute details and clues to solve the crime.
Really let you dig into the details.
Yeah. These crime scenes, both small and large, were distributed throughout Gotham, encouraging exploration and problem solving. And the Batcave itself was reimagined as a central hub, right? A significant improvement over previous games.
Huge improvement.
From here, Batman could change costumes, upgrade his equipment, and access challenge maps to practice combat, which were accessed separately in prior titles. Much more convenient.
Consolidated everything nicely.
After completing the main story, a new Game Plus mode unlocks, which is always a fantastic addition. It enables players to replay the game with all their acquired gadgets, experience, and abilities, but with a twist. Enemies are tougher, and that iconic warning icon for incoming attacks is disabled.
Forces a more reactive, skilled playstyle.
Definitely. And for the ultimate challenge, completing New Game Plus unlocks I Am the Night mode, where the game ends permanently if Batman dies.
Permadeath. For the truly hardcore players.
A true test of skill and mastery for the most dedicated players, yeah.
Now, the open world of Gotham City in Origins was filled with side missions and distractions, designed to deepen the experience and provide additional objectives that reinforce Batman's role in the city.
Keeping you busy between story beats.
Right. These include crime in progress events, where Batman can assist the GCPD by rescuing officers from gangs or preventing informants from being thrown to their deaths. It allows players to feel more ingrained in the city's daily struggles and directly impact its well-being.
Makes the city feel more alive.
Most wanted missions allow Batman to pursue villains outside of the main story, like Anarchy planting bombs around the city. These offer unique encounters and challenges that aren't tied to the main narrative path.
More boss fights, essentially.
Pretty much. The Dark Knight system provides a series of tasks of escalating difficulty that specifically improve stealth and combat skills, providing ongoing objectives and a clear sense of progression outside the main story.
Little challenges to keep you sharp.
Exactly. Batman's radio scanner also helps him locate these side missions, keeping the world feeling dynamic and responsive, as if crime truly never sleeps.
And there were collectibles too, right? Like Riddler trophies, but not.
Right. The game also features collectible objects and puzzles orchestrated by Enigma before he assumes his iconic Riddler identity, similar to the Riddler challenges of previous games. Completed missions and found collectibles are rewarded with experience points and equipment upgrades, incentivizing thorough exploration and rewarding curiosity.
Yeah, collect them all.
And for those seeking pure combat challenges, a 1 versus 100 mode within the game's challenge maps tests the player to survive against 100 increasingly difficult enemies.
A true gauntlet.
Sounds intense.
Now, what's compelling here is how these elements, while intended to deepen the experience, were sometimes criticized as busy work by some reviewers.
Felt like padding.
Yeah, or simply mimicking previous games elements without true innovation. For example, the glue grenade was seen by some as just mimicking Arkham City's ice grenades, suggesting a lack of truly fresh ideas in the side content. Reskinning old ideas.
Potentially. However, other reviewers found the city's vastness and the sheer variety of activities quite engrossing, providing plenty to do beyond the main story. It really depends on what you're looking for in an open world, I suppose. Innovation versus comfort in familiarity. 6. Multiplayer Mayhem, a new edition.
Okay, let's talk about that multiplayer. Batman? Arkham Origins marked a significant departure for the series by being the first in the franchise to introduce a multiplayer component.
A very bold move.
It really was, especially for a series so well known for its single-player experience. I mean, trying to turn Batman into a shooter in multiplayer, that sounds like a tricky design challenge, doesn't it?
Extremely tricky. Balancing that would be tough.
It's worth noting that this mode was notably developed by an independent British studio, Splash Damage, completely separately from WB Games Montreal's work on the main single-player game.
Ah, interesting. So a different team handled it.
Yeah, which maybe explains some things. The core multiplayer mode, Invisible Predator Online, revolves around a gang war between the forces of the Joker and Bane, which is a fun thematic fit, at least.
Makes sense thematically.
It features this unique setup where 3 Joker gang members fight 3 Bane gang members, and in turn, both of those teams are hunted by a distinct team of Batman and Robin.
3 factions fighting at once. Sounds chaotic.
Very. The objective for the gang members is to eliminate all of the opposing team's reinforcements, while Batman and Robin win by acquiring intimidation points by strategically eliminating gang members.
So different win conditions for each faction.
Right. What's cool is that a gang member can even become a boss, taking on the powerful abilities of either Joker or Bane, which can really turn the tide of a match.
Okay, that's a neat idea.
As you might expect, gang members have access to guns and explosives, while Batman and Robin utilize gadgets and abilities from the main game, including detective vision. Gang members have a limited enhanced vision that needs recharging, though.
Trying to balance the hero's tech.
Seems like it. The maps included familiar locations like Wayne Chemical Plant, Blackgate Prison, Joker's Funhouse, and Wonder City Robot Factory. There was also another mode, Hunter Hunted, which pitted 3 Joker thugs and 3 Bane thugs against Batman in a last team standing match where each character had only 1 life.
High stakes mode.
Yeah, creating a more intense experience.
So this naturally leads us to ask, was this a necessary addition to the Arkham formula, or just a bolted-on feature that perhaps missed the mark?
Yeah, how did people actually like it?
Well, critical reception for the multiplayer was largely negative. Polygon, for instance, famously called it one of the least necessary multiplayer additions to a typically single-player experience.
Ouch. So it felt out of place.
Pretty much. The gameplay itself was often described as a mediocre shooter, with poor controls and movement. Critics noted that poor weapon accuracy and sluggish movement controls made playing as the thugs feel weak and inept, often leading to frustrating experiences.
Not fun to be a goon, then.
Apparently not. Conversely, playing as the heroes, Batman and Robin, lacked the empowerment of the main game due to more restrictive combat abilities and less resistance to damage, making them feel less like the iconic vigilantes players were used to.
So neither side felt great to play.
That was the main complaint. It was a challenging balance to strike, and many felt they didn't quite nail it. While some reviewers did find the experience fun and hectic in short bursts, most agreed it lacked sufficient depth to retain long-term interest.
A novelty that wore off quickly.
Seems so. It faded fast. And what's truly compelling here is the design decision to exclude the multiplayer mode entirely from the Wii U version of the game.
Really? Wii U players didn't get it at all.
Nope. Warner Bros. Stated explicitly that the development team focused on platforms with the largest multiplayer audience, implying that the Wii U simply didn't have the player base to justify the effort for that specific feature.
Highlights the practical considerations, I guess. Sometimes features get cut based on the platform.
Exactly. Especially when resources are finite and a feature isn't core to the experience. 7. crafting Gotham's past. Development and design.
Let's pull back the curtain a bit on how Batman Arkham Origins actually came to be. Development for the game officially kicked off in late 2011, and it was announced to the world on April 9th, 2013, generating quite a bit of buzz at the time.
Yeah, people were excited for more Arkham.
The most significant aspect of its development, perhaps, is that WB Games Montreal took over the development duties from the series creator, Rocksteady Studios.
That was a big deal. Why the handover?
Well, the decision wasn't made lightly. Rocksteady was already preoccupied with Batman, Arkham Knight, the true successor to Origins, and the thinking was that developing Origins in-house at Rocksteady would have resulted in a long time without an Arkham game.
Ah, so Origins was meant to fill the gap while Rocksteady worked on a Knight.
Exactly. And WB Montreal, having already worked on the Wii U adaptation of Batman, Arkham City was familiar with Rocksteady's modified Unreal Engine 3 development engine, making them a natural fit to carry the torch.
They knew the tech already.
Right. They consciously decided not to heavily modify the established combat system, believing it already worked exceptionally well. But they cleverly introduced new enemy types to offer new tactical opportunities and keep players on their toes.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, but add some variety.
Pretty much. Creative director Eric Holmes spearheaded the decision to develop a prequel. He explained that while the Batman of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City was comparable to his comic counterpart, this fully formed, experienced character, Arkham Origins, could explore other aspects, like his lack of experience and greater vulnerability.
Giving players a fresh and raw perspective on the Caped Crusader's formative years.
Exactly what they aimed for.
And what's truly fascinating here is how deeply the plot was inspired by specific, foundational comic book series, making this a true Year 2 story.
Which comics were key influences?
Notably, Batman, Legends of the Dark Knight, and the seminal graphic novel Batman. Year 1, which details Batman's very first year, served as major influences for the narrative direction. Arkham Origins meticulously built on these foundational narratives, offering a glimpse into the next stage of his vigilante career.
So it respected the established origins.
Very much so. Further plot elements were drawn from other iconic comics. Batman, the Man Who Laughs, profoundly influenced Batman's early, complex relationship with the Joker, showcasing the nascent stages of their dark, twisted dance and those unexpected parallels between them.
That Joker relationship is central.
Absolutely, Batman. Turning points impacted his evolving dynamic with James Gordon, illustrating how their crucial alliance began to form out of initial distrust. And perhaps most uniquely, Batman. The Long Halloween inspired the unusual yet compelling Christmas setting, infusing that festive backdrop with Gotham's inherent grimness.
There's a lot of comic DNA in there.
Definitely. The story was crafted by Duma Wencha, Ryan Galetta, and Corey May, with invaluable input from DC Comics itself and the renowned comic book writer Jeff Johns, ensuring authenticity to the source material.
Good to have Johns involved.
And what's also compelling is how the design team created the game's distinct visual aesthetic. We talked about the noir style they aimed for, high contrast between darks and lights, exaggerated shadows, few balancing colors, to create that appearance that perfectly suits Batman's early mysterious presence.
The look was very specific.
Very. The chosen Christmas setting, as we discussed, was intentionally a juxtaposition, placing joyful, festive elements next to Gotham's grim, Gothic architecture and dark alleys, enhancing the city's unique, almost contradictory atmosphere, and making the dark themes even more prominent.
That contrast worked well, I thought.
And the city itself was designed to be dislodged from time and space, contrasting those 1930s and older buildings with Batman's futuristic technology, creating that timeless feel. The new Gotham area, specifically, was engineered for vertical movement, allowing for dynamic enemy placement above and below Batman, creating densely packed, challenging areas.
And what about the auditory landscape, the sound of this early Gotham?
Right, the music. The score for Arkham Origins was composed by Christopher Drake. He took over from Ron Fish and Nick Arundel, the talented composers who had scored the previous Arkham games.
Another changing of the guard.
Yep. Drake brought a fresh perspective, drawing significant inspiration from the 1988 action film Die Hard, which you might recall is also famously set during Christmas.
Of course. The ultimate Christmas movie.
Debatable, but definitely an influence. He even cleverly incorporated sleigh bells into the soundtrack for dramatic punctuation.
Nice touch.
He consciously opted for more electronic elements in the score. This was a deliberate choice to help distinguish Origins as a prequel, to give it a slightly different sonic identity while still maintaining the DNA of established Batman music.
So familiar but different.
Exactly. He approached the cinematic scenes like a traditional film score, working remotely while the design team described the scenes to him, which is a fascinating glimpse into that collaborative process. The in-game music was created with layers that would activate dynamically with the action, adjusting based on what the player is doing, entering a location, starting a fight.
So the music was always responsive.
Right, ensuring it was engaging and not repetitive during prolonged gameplay. An original song by Dutch DJ Don Diablo titled Origins was also included, adding another unique layer to the game's sound. The full soundtrack? Batman. Arkham Origins' original video game score, featuring 32 tracks, was officially released on October 22, 2013. 8. Extending the narrative. The Cold Heart DLC. This naturally leads us to ask, how does a prequel's downloadable content, the DLC, contribute to the broader lore of a franchise, particularly one so rich in established narratives?
Right. Does the DLC add meaningful story?
Well, the Cold Heart story expansion, released on April 22, 2014, is a prime example. It's set just a week after the main events of Arkham Origins, specifically on New Year's Eve. So it gives us a direct follow-up to the Christmas Eve chaos and shows the immediate aftermath of Batman's grueling night.
Okay, so a direct continuation. What's it about?
Its narrative focuses intently on the origin story of the supervillain Mr. Freeze, voiced by Maurice LaMarche.
Ah, Freeze's origin. That's a classic story.
It is. And what's truly insightful here is that the story draws striking similarities to the acclaimed 1992 Batman, the animated series episode Heart of Ice. It brings that familiar and beloved tragic backstory directly into the game's continuity.
That must have resonated with fans of the animated series.
Oh, definitely. It honored a classic. The plot meticulously reveals Victor Fry's desperate attempts to cure his wife Nora, who he has encased in ice to preserve her. It details the profound betrayal by Ferris Boyle, the owner of GothCorp, who had funded Fry's research in exchange for weapon development.
The corporate villain.
Right. Boyle then reneged on their deal, eventually stealing Nora's frozen body, and, in the ensuing confrontation, causing a lab accident that tragically transformed Victor into the cryogenically dependent Mr. Freeze. The DLC beautifully illustrates the depth of Freeze's sorrow and his singular obsession, much like Batman's own driven nature, creating a compelling parallel between them.
So new gameplay elements for dealing with Freeze.
Yes. To combat Freeze's unique cryogenic technology, the Cold Heart DLC introduces new, essential equipment for Batman, most notably the XE suit, the Extreme Environment suit.
What does that do?
This special suit generates heat, allowing Batman to survive harsh, sub-zero temperatures, melt ice, or even throw thermal-charged batarangs, which are absolutely vital for navigating Freeze's icy traps and combating his freezing henchmen.
A clever way to introduce new gameplay mechanics through the narrative.
Exactly. Gives players unique challenges. But the real kicker is the critical reception for this DLC. Many reviewers actually found Cold Heart to be better paced and more focused than the main game itself.
Really? Better than the main game?
Some thought so. They argued it benefited from its shorter playtime, which allowed for a more intense and consistently interesting experience without the occasional sprawl of the main campaign. GameSpot, for example, specifically praised its satisfying combination of the series' core combat, stealth, and detective mechanics, along with the introduction of genuinely interesting new enemy types wielding ice guns that forced new strategies.
So mostly positive then?
Mostly, but not entirely. The DLC also received its share of criticism. Some felt it lost focus near the end and padded its running time with unnecessary deviations from the central narrative.
Got a bit sidetracked.
Yeah. Additionally, IGN and Destructoid noted that the content lacked originality and innovation. The final battle against Mr. Freeze, in particular, apparently replicated several elements of the fight against the character in Arkham City, which felt a bit too familiar to some.
Recycled boss fight elements? That's not great.
No. And some environments also felt generic, failing to stand out. It's also worth noting, and quite unfortunately for some players, that the Wii U version of this expansion was canceled by Warner Bros.
Oh, Wii U players missed out on the DLC too.
Yep, they cited a lack of demand as the reason again. My ex, Legacy and Beyond, reception, and series continuation.
So how did Batman Arkham Origins fare in the critical landscape overall upon its release? What were the scores like?
It received generally favorable reviews on PlayStation 3, scoring a solid 76 out of 100 on Metacritic. However, it received mixed or average reviews on other platforms. Scores of 74 for Xbox 360 and PC, and a slightly lower 68 for Wii U.
So, decent but not quite the universal acclaim of Asylum or City.
Exactly. A bit more divisive. Despite this somewhat mixed final reception, The game certainly generated considerable buzz pre-release. It was prominently displayed at E3 2013 and received 2 prestigious Game Critics Awards nominations for Best Action-Adventure Game and Best Console Game.
So there was hype.
Lots of hype. It was also recognized as Best Video Game by Forbes, Best Action Game by Game Informer, Best Comic Book-Related Game by Newsarama, and Best Xbox 360 Game by IGN at the Expo. Showed significant industry anticipation.
How did it sell?
Sales-wise, Arkham Origins performed quite well initially. It became the #1 selling game in the United Kingdom during its first week across all available formats, which is no small feat.
#1 is good.
Definitely. However, its sales were approximately half those of Arkham City during the same period, though roughly even with Arkham Asylum's launch.
Okay, so not quite City's numbers, but respectable.
Right. It ultimately ended up as the 11th best-selling boxed game of 2013 in the UK, and was the top-selling game on Steam between October 20 and 26, 2013, indicating strong digital performance as well. So, what did critics praise the most?
The critical consensus largely praised the game's handling of the genesis of Batman's relationships with his adversaries and allies. That was truly the game's core strength.
The story and character stuff.
Exactly. The scenes with the Joker, in particular, received the most praise. Reviewers noted how they shone new light on the character and surprisingly explored the complex bond and unexpected similarities between Batman and the Joker, setting the stage for their long dance.
That early dynamic was key.
And Troy Baker's performance as the Joker was especially lauded as a worthy, if sometimes replicating, replacement for Mark Hamill, which is high praise.
Big compliment.
The boss battles were also highlighted as a significant area of improvement over its predecessors. They offered dynamic, multi-phase conflicts that often had their own mini-narratives and crucially required players to master various game mechanics to succeed. They felt like real tests of skill.
Those were definitely standouts. What about the criticisms?
Well, the game faced significant criticism for a general lack of innovation in gameplay mechanics. Many reviewers stated it largely replicated Arkham City without significantly developing or augmenting its elements, feeling routine rather than inspired for some.
Felt like more of the same.
To some, yeah. The expanded open world was frequently criticized as unnecessarily large, described as bigger just for the sake of being bigger, leading to increased commute times without a proportional increase in enjoyment or meaningful content.
That size issue again?
Side quests were sometimes dismissed as busy work that didn't advance the narrative meaningfully, or simply mimicked previous games' elements without true innovation, like that glue grenade feeling too similar to Arkham City's ice grenades, suggested a missed opportunity for true evolution.
And then there were the bugs, right? That was a big thing.
Oh, yeah. What's truly compelling here, and perhaps the most pervasive issue that impacted its reputation, were the widespread technical problems reported after the game's launch. These included lagging, unending, falling bugs that prevented mission completion, missing continue buttons, corrupted save files on Xbox 360, and frequent crashing and freezing problems.
Yikes. Sounds rough.
It was. WB Montreal publicly acknowledged these issues and released patches, but then, in February 2014, they announced they would cease releasing additional bug fixes to focus on upcoming single-player DLC, addressing only progression blocking issues.
Oh, they stopped patching the main game to work on DLC.
Essentially, yes, except for game-breaking bugs. This raises an important question about the pressures of game development and release schedules. When do developers stop fixing and start moving on? It was a contentious decision for players, leading to lasting frustration for some.
I can imagine. That wouldn't sit well.
Despite some of those criticisms and controversies, Arkham Origins clearly fits into a much larger and ongoing narrative universe, proving its foundational importance. The direct successor to Origins and the primary sequel to Arkham City, Batman. Arkham Knight was announced in March 2014 and notably was once again developed by Rocksteady Studios, releasing in June 2015. It picks up 9 months after the events of Arkham City, continuing the main storyline.
Back to Rocksteady for the finale.
Right. Beyond the games, that animated sequel, Batman, Assault on Arkham, was released on August 12, 2014. The film features the Suicide Squad, whose recruitment by Amanda Waller was directly hinted at during the post-credit scene of Arkham Origins, shows that clear narrative link.
Connecting the game to the wider DC animated universe.
And this is truly pivotal for the future of the series, Batman. Arkham Shadow was announced on May 1st, 2024 for the MetaQuest 3, with a release set for October 2024. This game serves as a direct sequel to Arkham Origins, taking place just 6 months after its events.
Wow, Origins is getting a direct sequel after all this time in VR.
Seems like it. According to its director, Ryan Caton, It explicitly explores the aftermath of the Joker's Christmas Eve rampage while showcasing Batman's crucial transition from a violent and vengeful vigilante into a symbol of hope.
So it's directly addressing the themes and character arcs set up in Origins.
Exactly. This emphasizes that Origins, despite its criticisms and the controversies of its development, played a crucial and enduring role in establishing the foundational character arc for the Caped Crusader within this beloved and expanding series. It's a key chapter in Bruce Wayne's transformation.
So wrapping it all up, what does this all mean for the Arkham saga? Batman. Arkham Origins may have faced its share of criticism, particularly regarding innovation and technical polish, but it undeniably served as a crucial bridge.
Yeah, it filled a really important gap.
It delved into Batman's formative years with a unique depth, showcasing his evolution from that raw, vengeance-driven crime fighter to the nuanced hero we know. It highlighted his complex, almost symbiotic relationship with the Joker in a way no other game had at that point. And it meticulously laid the groundwork for his vital alliances in Gotham.
Especially with Gordon.
Especially with Gordon. It's a foundational piece for understanding the Dark Knight's journey, especially during a period when he was still an urban legend to many, including the very police force he would later ally with. It truly enriched the overall narrative, I think.
Absolutely. It reminds us that even heroes have an origin story, and often it's not as polished or perfect as we might imagine. The vulnerability, the learning, the mistakes, they're all part of forging a legend, aren't they?
Definitely part of the process.
So, for you, the listener, consider this. How do the early, less polished, more challenging moments in any journey, even in a fictional hero's career, contribute to the eventual mastery and iconic status? Does the struggle and that year two narrative make the legend more compelling in the long run, perhaps more relatable? That's something to mull over as you think about how heroes, real or fictional, are truly forged. We hope this deep dive into Batman, Arkham Origins, has given you a fresh perspective and some surprising insights into the Caped Crusader's early days. Until next time, keep digging deeper.